It was supposed to be just another ordinary night. My parents had left hours ago, leaving me home alone. The air seemed heavy immediately, almost sentient, pressing against my skin and weighing on my chest. The faint hum of the refrigerator and the ticking of the clock suddenly sounded unnaturally loud, like they were echoing through an empty void. I flicked through my phone, scrolling aimlessly, but the dim light seemed powerless against the shadows creeping across the walls. Shadows stretched, twisted, and clung to corners as if alive, moving with a deliberate malice. I whispered to myself, "It's nothing, just my imagination," yet every instinct screamed otherwise. A shiver raced down my spine, icy fingers crawling across my arms, settling into the pit of my chest. The house smelled different, dust mixed with something metallic, faintly acrid, the scent of something unseen lingering in corners. A creak, soft, intentional, coming from downstairs. My stomach churned. I told myself it was the house, old wood contracting in the cool night, but the sound repeated, deliberate, echoing against the walls in a rhythm that was almost purposeful. My heartbeat leapt, thumping in my ears. Palms slick with sweat, I gripped my phone like a lifeline and flicked on the flashlight. The hallway stretched unnaturally before me, darker than I had ever remembered. Shadows writhed, bending into grotesque shapes. "Hello?" I whispered, voice tiny and swallowed by silence. My legs felt leaden, rooted to the floor. Something was there, watching, waiting. Another creak, louder this time, came from the kitchen. My chest tightened. Something moved across the floor, deliberate and gliding, defying logic. The air grew colder, heavier, suffocating. Shadows elongated in impossible directions, clinging to cabinets, walls, and furniture. Dust motes swirled like restless spirits in the moonlight. "Who's there?" I whispered again, my voice trembling. Silence pressed back, tangible, like a living weight. My hands shook violently, and my breath came in short, shallow gasps. The house itself seemed aware of me, complicit in whatever presence had come alive inside it. Step by step, I edged toward the kitchen. Each floorboard groaned under my feet, echoing unnaturally. The living room looked familiar yet subtly wrong. Shadows stretched toward me as though hungry, bending over furniture and walls. My flashlight flickered, illuminating dusty cabinets, worn countertops, and empty chairs, all untouched, yet somehow off. "Who's there?" I whispered once more. Silence. My body felt frozen in place. Fear had rooted me. Dust floated lazily, catching in faint moonlight, swirling like tiny spirits. And then I saw it. A figure, tall and shadowy, in the far corner. Elongated, impossibly still, vaguely humanoid but wrong in every way. My heart pounded violently. The flashlight trembled. I tried to focus, but it shifted ever so slightly, unnerving me to the core. Step by step, I tried to retreat, but fear held me fast. Dust swirled around its feet. Shadows reached toward me. Every instinct screamed danger. My legs refused to obey. My chest ached. Breaths came shallow and panicked. The house itself felt alive, a trap built for me alone. Each movement of the figure was deliberate, silent, impossible. I stumbled backward. The kitchen seemed to writhe, shadows twisted and coiled like serpents. Dust floated like restless specters. "Please, go away," I whispered. Silence pressed back. The house seemed complicit, reality bending around this figure. A scraping noise echoed. Something slid across the floor, deliberate, precise. My flashlight flickered. The figure had moved closer, more defined yet still impossible to comprehend fully. My hands shook uncontrollably. I stumbled backward, trying to put distance between us. Air thickened, each breath a struggle. Shadows writhed, stretching toward me, alive. The living room appeared normal, but subtly wrong. Chairs angled strangely, floorboards stretched, walls seemed to breathe. My flashlight flickered, revealing the figure towering in the corner. "It can't be real," I whispered. My voice sounded alien, swallowed by darkness. Dust swirled around furniture like restless spirits. My chest heaved. I wanted to scream, run, hide. Fear anchored me to the floor. The figure glided closer. Shadows flickered, bending, reaching. I whispered a prayer. Nothing answered. Its presence filled the room, patient, unmoving yet oppressive. Dust swirled in a storm of tiny ghosts. My mind spun, trying to rationalize, to convince myself it was imagined, but terror denied reason. Panic surged. I attempted to flee toward the stairs. Legs shaking, body trembling. The house felt alive. Floorboards groaned, shadows pressed. My flashlight died. Darkness swallowed everything. The figure loomed at the edge of my vision, tangible and oppressive. Dust floated thickly, almost tangible. I tried to move faster. Fear anchored me. "Please, leave me alone," I whispered. Darkness answered. Soft, deliberate thumps sounded behind me. Step by step, heavy, precise, not human. I turned. Nothing. Only oppressive weight pressing in. Breath shallow, trembling. Instinct screamed to flee, legs paralyzed. The figure closer now, edge of hallway, tall, impossibly still. Air thickened. Dust swirled. Shadows moved deliberately. My mind reeled. Suddenly, silence. Complete, suffocating. No sound, only presence. I could feel it breathing, shifting, waiting. My mind spun. Minutes passed like hours. Dust floated lazily. Pulse thundered. The house itself alive, conspiring, holding me captive. My body frozen. I whispered, I just want to leave, swallowed instantly. The figure vanished. Darkness remained oppressive. I could feel it lingering, patient, eternal. The house alive, corners traps. I backed toward the door, every shadow a threat. Heart racing, breath shallow. I stumbled. Then, it reappeared at the top of the stairs. Motionless, towering, impossibly dark. Chest tightened. Panic surged. Blinked, and it was gone. Air heavy. Dust swirled restless. The house alive, breathing, plotting. Legs refused to move. Shadows twisted. I tried to escape. Front door open. Cold night air hit me like a wave. Ran into the street, heart hammering. Behind me, house loomed, silent, watching. Something remained, always, watching. I never stayed home alone again. And I never forgot that night the shadows came alive. The night the house breathed. The night I realized some presences never leave. Even years later, in dark corners, flickering lights, empty rooms, I feel it. Patient, eternal, unseen, watching, lingering just beyond perception. The fear never fades. Memory remains a living shadow, a constant reminder that the night I stayed home alone, the darkness wasn't empty, it was alive. The night seemed to stretch endlessly, each second heavier than the last. Even after fleeing the house, I could feel its presence in the air around me, as if the walls and shadows had followed me onto the empty street. The wind whispered, carrying faint echoes of creaks and whispers from the house, though it stood silent and still behind me. I walked faster, heart pounding, legs trembling, yet every instinct screamed that I was not free. The darkness had followed. Back at home, in my room, I tried to convince myself that it was over. The lights glowed warmly, the familiar hum of appliances was comforting, yet the feeling of being watched did not leave me. Shadows shifted unnaturally in the corners, long, thin, stretching like black fingers. Every small noise, a tap at the window, the rustle of leaves, sent a jolt through me. My mind replayed every movement of the figure, every subtle step, every impossibly precise motion. I could almost hear it breathing in the spaces between seconds. I tried to sleep, but my room had changed. Shadows pooled beneath the bed, curling along the floorboards. The familiar walls seemed to bend and breathe. Moonlight through the curtains painted shapes that I knew were wrong. I kept my phone in hand, using its light as a shield, yet it was useless against the creeping darkness. I whispered to myself, "It's gone. It can't be here." But the echo of my own voice sounded hollow, swallowed by an unseen presence. My chest tightened, and cold sweat covered my skin. Hours passed, though I could not be certain. Every sound, creak, tap, rustle, was magnified. My mind conjured figures in every shadow, shapes too tall, too still, too wrong. I felt drawn to the window, compelled to look outside, though I knew nothing awaited there. A figure, shadowy, motionless, seemed to hover just beyond the edge of my vision, always watching, patient, eternal. I blinked, and it vanished, yet the sense of being observed remained, pressing down, unyielding. The next day offered no relief. The sunlight was harsh, unkind, cutting through the house and revealing every dust mote, every crooked line, every warped floorboard. Yet in the corners, the shadows lingered, darker than natural, stretching where light should fall. I avoided them, kept to open spaces, but I felt the figure follow.
What is that?
It existed in the spaces between rooms, in the subtle movement of furniture as if gravity itself had been warped to accommodate it.
Stay back!
I could not speak of it, no one would understand. My own voice felt foreign, fragile, inadequate against the presence that had claimed the house. Nights continued in this rhythm, each one longer, heavier, more deliberate. I could hear the house breathing around me, slow and measured, punctuated by soft thumps and scrapes. Doors creaked without cause, shadows shifted in impossible ways, and I sensed the figure moving just outside my sight. It was patient, it understood my fear, it waited for moments when my guard slipped, when hesitation overtook me. I never slept fully. Dreams were no refuge. They were extensions of the house's dark presence, corridors stretching endlessly, doors opening to rooms I did not recognize, ceilings bending impossibly high, walls whispering my name. One evening, I dared to investigate. I returned to the house, lights dim, a flashlight in trembling hands. The front door hung slightly ajar. I entered. The air was thick, heavy, metallic, and carried the faintest trace of decay. Shadows moved, subtle but deliberate. Dust floated in the flashlight beam, swirling in shapes that seemed to form faces, twisted and watching. The figure appeared at the far end of the hall. Taller than before, impossibly still, but somehow clearer, more defined. I wanted to run, but my legs refused, rooted by terror. It did not advance. It did not speak. Yet I felt the weight of its gaze, the pressure of its attention. I could sense it in my chest, in my bones, in the sweat prickling along my neck. Shadows leaned closer, brushing against furniture, stretching across walls. Every sound, the faintest creak, the softest rustle, was amplified. My own heartbeat roared in my ears. I whispered, "I don't want this, go away," but my words were powerless. Hours passed, I do not know how many. The figure remained, patient, eternal, occasionally shifting, impossible in its movements. I noticed small changes in the environment. A chair slightly out of place, a door cracked open wider than before, dust settling in unnatural patterns.